Hello everyone, we are looking at the game of Elizabeth Harmon and Borgov Vasily from the series, wonderful series on Netflix called The Queen's Gambit. It has 7 episodes and I highly recommend that you see it. Uh, it takes you back to the 50s and 60s, the cars and the traveling of chess players, and a very intriguing storyline for Beth Harmon. So here she is at the top of her game with the Soviet Union's Borgov Vasily. This is also based on true games and very well done as far as the details of everything, including the actress learned how to play chess, and so the movements are legitimate. So let's start with this game. We have Beth playing white and Borgov playing black. So obviously in chess, white is always the first move. Here we go. We start off with d4, which is going to be shown as being the queen's gambit. Then we have d5, and here we go with it. Are we going to accept this or not? Is Borgov going to take the pawn on c4 or not? What do you think? If he takes, that it means Queen's Gambit accepted. If he does not, then he did not accept. So let's see what happens next. Yes, indeed, he did take. So it's Queen's Gambit accepted. He takes on c4. Now we have an interesting position. We have an open line here with the bishop, open line with the white bishop. We have the queens going up. So now we're still in the opening game. Let's see what is the next move. Aha! Central pawn goes to e4. We have a strong central pawn position. Let's see how Borgov responds. Well, he now is attacking the d4 pawn. Let's see how Beth Harmon responds. She's protecting her pawn with the bishop to e3. And then we have more development. He continues to attack. Now he's attacking e4. Let's see how Miss Harmon responds. So now she protects and covers the e3, e4 pawn. Okay, let's see what happens next. Okay, Borgov keeps the pressure up. There's not one wasted move here. We cannot have wasted moves at all in chess. Every move has to have a purpose. So we continue on the attack. Let's see what Miss Harmon does. Is she going to take or not take? That's where you have to start calculating here. What is your best move? So she does not take. She moves up, and now instead is attacking his knight on c6. Let's see what he does. He goes back with his knight to e7. We continue with the bishop now to develop, protecting the pawn. As you notice, the pawns in the taking control of the center is very crucial. So you want to keep that control. So she moves the bishop up. He's maneuvering the knight to g6. Look at the pawn structure here for Harmon. Nice pawn structure. And the game is more going on towards the a-file area, whereas Borgov now puts his bishop right in the center, protecting his pawn, but also is an opening area here to possibly going on for the attack. We shall see. It's pretty early in the game, and we are moving towards the middle game at this point. And these are very, very crucial, where we eat up the pieces, the capture, we plan, we organize. Let's see what Beth does. She moves up the queen, which is now protecting the bishop and also the knight. Also frees up her rook to start moving, maybe castling. We shall see which way to castle. They're still developing here, moving into position, like jockeying into position before they start to strike. All right, now bishop also moves up to d7. We have knight to e2. very tight in the center there, getting kind of tight. So now we have an a6 move, opening up all over there. Let's see what he's thinking, why that would be necessary. Think for a moment, is this a good move, or is this an in-between move? What kind of move do you think it is? Well, let's see what Miss Harmon responds with. She moves her bishop back. Let's see what she might be thinking with that move too. Is she gonna reposition the bishop? Nada gave some space too. Looks like he's pushing the pawns on the A and B file here. You notice when the pawns get all the way to the end, they can be promoted. So let's see what the game here implies. So he's putting his passed pawns into position. Let's see how Miss Harmon responds. Okay, so she's now attacking the after that. So we are loosening up the board, we are giving out more space. She moves the queen to protect the knight. He moves the bishop back to c5. She moves her knight back to d1. It's almost a repositioning, reorganizing situation here to reorganize your attack. The bishop goes back to d6. The knight goes to f2. Ooh, we are now attacking again. Let's see what she does. She's not too concerned. She's developing a plan with the queen and the rook now on c1. So he's moving in with his queen to g5. She decides to get her king off of that g5 where the queen just moved. So now he's kind of following her king from afar to h5. Let's see how she responds. So she brings more reinforcements in. The knight closer to her king to g1. At this point, he decides to take, attacking in a fork situation both the rook and the knight. Interesting situation. How is Miss Harmon going to respond? Is she starting to sweat? Or is she, perspire? Or is she cool as a cucumber in this situation? What will she do? What do you think she will do? Well, she takes the knight. No problem. And at the same time, by taking a knight, is attacking this central pawn. Although there is no protection for the knight if he did take that, but it's still a form of attack on e5. So he now moves in with his pawn, attacking the central pawn on e4. Let's see what happens. She now decides to move in. Her knight is protected by the queen and the rook, two defenders there. So what is he gonna do with the bishop? Is he gonna move the bishop? Which bishop is he gonna move? Because she's attacking this bishop now. Let's see what he does. He moves the bishop to c8. Kind of moves back. It's a little dance between the two. Move forward, move a little back, move forward, move a little back. We're kind of vying for positions, just like horses jockeying to see who's gonna win the game. Now she decides to put the rook to f1. We are still in the thick of things. We are still, the tension's pretty high. We're still maneuvering to get the best position advantage possible. So now he is moving back his knight, attacking the central pawns again. It seems to be a little dance of attack or not attack, attack and not attack. So she moves in with her queen to attack to protect the central pawn on d5. Let's see what he does next. He decides to take the pawn in e4 at the same time, pushing an attack onto the pawn and the queen. So what will she do now? Well, she might just take. What do you think? Will she take or should I take? So she did take, but with the pawn, continuing to control the center. It seems that she's managed to control the center, but at the same time knocking off some pieces on the side, so we reduce a little tension and there's less things to think of, and we can foment an attack a little bit better that way when we have less pieces to deal with. And now we still have the queens on the board, so we're still in the middle game. We are moving around the king. She moves the king. Then we have the knight to f3. Jockeying again for position. He moves back his knight. She keeps on pushing forward to knight to h4, attacking the queen. But we have nobody to cover it, but still, it's almost like a putting into position situation. Let's see how he responds. He moves his queen to g4. Now he's attacking the knight that was just attacking him. Isn't it interesting how the tables can turn around so fast in chess? So you gotta have a plan, always have a plan. And we continue with the knight to f5. Again, look at this move. For king. Both places. Could we take a pawn or we take the bishop? Or if he wants to take the knight, we definitely could take it with the pawn. So will that be a good exchange? Think about it. So he moves the pressure on, and she moves up with h3 to put the pressure on the queen. Wanting to protect, we got some open spaces here. We got some danger, stranger danger coming up. Let's see what he does. He moves his queen back, attacking the knight again, and giving some protection to his king. She is moving in. She's relentless. She now is moving into e6. Do you see the tension? The tension never goes down. It's attacking, 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 aggressiveness on both sides. It's like a tango dance. Tension there, to the left, to the right. Who's going to move? And again, you see how the two pawns are being attacked. She's also attacking the knight. There's a lot of attacks going on, multifaceted stuff going on. Borgov is barely hanging on. I can feel the net is squeezing in. The python is squishing in the position. Can he escape? Can he start to breathe again? Or what will happen now? Let's see. He now moves the rook to a4. Attacking the central pawn. It seems those pawns in the center are pretty important, those central pawns, because they seem to always be attacked from one direction or another. Let's see how fruitful this move was. What does Miss Harmon do? She responds by attacking the rook. Now, is he going to care about that rook being attacked or not? Is it covered or not? So he did. So he did take the central pawns. That was his plan. So it's tempo here. Tempo. He got there before she did. But it's okay, because now we still have the queen. Will the queen take? Or what will the queen do? No, she didn't take. She decided, notice what she did. She decided instead to take the bishop. That's those nasty bishops. So now you see, are we up in material? Are we even material? What material are we going to give up? Let's see, that was a pretty interesting move. Because if she had taken the rook, he would have taken the queen. And then could we have taken? That's a check. So I think this would have been a much better move, what she has done. Taken, let's go back. Taken the bishop. Even though now she's being attacked, but she's also attacking this bishop. What's he gonna do? So he eats the knight. Bishop takes e6. At the same time, attacking this central pawn. This is getting interesting, everybody. This is now going almost into the end game. We still have the queens, but we have less pieces on the board. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns, 2 queens, a bishop, and a knight. A bishop, and a knight. And the rook. So, who's up in material here? No movement of the past pawn situations, like they forgot about moving the pawns because these kind of are stuck. This is kind of there's no really way to move this up. There's too much action going on over here, so these past pawns are kind of like not activated at all. Too much action. And this pawn now is going to fight for central. Suddenly, well, the black has central positioning. But does Beth panic? Does she give up? Let's see what she does. Ah! She's moving towards the passed pawn. She's only 1 away. So how will Borgov respond? So she had this little sneaky pawn waiting right there to crop itself up to e7 at the most opportune time. You gotta have all these little pieces, all these little mini plans in your head, just in case. So now he moves up his pawn. He's protecting this with his knight and defending that with his. So he knew that this might be happening. So we'll see. She might be patient. Maybe she'll knock off these in the future. But there it is. That passed pawn is a menacing pawn, just 1 move away. And we are close to checkmate if this becomes a queen, because we got some supports here. Okay, let's move on. Then we have bishop goes to c5, protecting this pawn. Now the pawn is under attack. Let's see how Miss Harmon responds. Will she attack? She attacks, but I thought she might attack the king, but that's not the case, because then the pawn would take the queen with the king. So now she is attacking, getting this rook and queen on the offensive here. Let's see what happens next. He moves the queen and now is threatening the bishop. Threat after threat after threat. Which threats to take seriously, which to not? That's the question. ISD. To be or not to be? Which threat to take and which threat to ignore? The more you play, the better you'll realize, the better you'll have a plan. So now she's protecting her bishop with the pawn, so it's no sweat. You want to take? I'll take you back. Okay. So there is a moment of reflection. And she wants that bishop. She likes that bishop, so she didn't do another move. She is protecting the bishop by moving the pawn to b4. He's back to the position of not letting the Miss Harmon move her pawn up to e8, which would be very disastrous for him. So the tension keeps on going. She moves up with queen to f5 check. First check here. Now I wonder if he would want to resign at this point or not. There is a part in the movie where he decides not to resign, to have a draw. A draw means half a point, half a point. We're pretty respectable, but does she take? She does not take the offer for a draw. We continue on the attack. So he moves the king to h8. She gobbles up the... What does she gobble up? She gobbles up the knight on f6, which is now exposing her to a sacrifice. Now, to sacrifice a queen, my dears, we must really, really, really have a good plan. So she must be thinking of what she's going to do, what she's going to get for this queen sacrifice. He will still have a queen back there. This is almost the endgame. Of course, she is very close to having another queen herself, but right now there's a big, big black queen. Not going to allow that to happen unless we kind of distract the black queen to do something else. We shall see what she is planning. So she does take the queen sacrificed. Beth is sacrificing the queen. And what to do now? Will this work out for her? Let's check. So she moves up to the rook takes f6. Ah, the queen has moved. I wonder, it went to h5. Why did it go to h5? Maybe it wants to foment its own attack with the queen and the rook. Maybe there's a way that he sees he can still take this game, but I don't know. This just gave her the ability to prepare for a passed pawn situation and cleverly put in a move to do a check on rook to f8. So things are tightening, the tension is growing. So he has now moved his knight to, king to g7, which is also threatening the rook. But will she now move the rook or will she go for a queen situation? She does go for a queen. E to the pawn reaches the almighty 8 file, and she does get a queen. We are now back to having a queen. Could you believe it? A few moments ago, we did not have a possibility of having a queen on this file, but how somehow that possibility has arrived, and never ever give up. You always had the pawn waiting there in the background just for this opportune moment. Here's the clincher. What will happen next? Borgov is now attacking her king. Check. Rook to e2. She moves it down. We have rook protecting here. We only have this queen now. And a rook. Well, we have a rook, queen, and bishop. How long can this go on before Borgov gives up? Alright, the queen takes h3. Check. We're continuing on the checking sequences here. Then Beth takes on e2. What did she take? She takes the rook on e2. Ooh, we are now positioned really, really difficult position here for Borgov. Let's see what's next. He's continuing to attack while she is protecting the king with rook to f2. And now what? What would your next move be? He is continuing on the attack. Queen to e4. She just casually moves the rook to d2. And now with material down, it seems that Borgov has resigned because it's just a matter of time between the net is formed with the queen, the bishop, and the rook on a very, very exposed black king. So there we have it. Very interesting game. We went through the opening sequence, Queen Gambit accepted. We had the middle game, very interesting positioning and jockeying for a position there with ideas, never giving up, keeping up the tension, and voila, we have Borgov resigning. What a game. Beautiful game. Now we can flip this so we can see the other side. I highly suggest 365chess.com. This has been a wonderful situation to be able to use this feature and to tell you all how interesting the game of chess is. It fosters creativity, it makes you think ahead, makes you review all the skills of life that one needs is in one compacted into one little game. That's why I love this series, the fact that there's a woman there, and I hope more girls will be playing chess with their brothers or with their uncles or whoever out there one can play with. My father loved chess. As you can see, I have an accent, but it is not from Russia. Close though, close. And I really do love playing chess. And I welcome you to see more videos of this type on my channel. Please subscribe if you liked this and tell others about it. Have a wonderful day, evening, whenever you're watching. Adios.